Hello everybody, this is the 1978 Dodge Aspen sedan. Just doing a little walk around on the bottom of the car. So this is the driver's side left quarter panel. It's all totally solid, there's no repairs in there. Same thing with the inside. Sorry if the light's a little strange here, but and the bottom of this car is all solid. Frame rails, everything's undercoated, but it's all nice and solid. There's no rot or rust anywhere. All right, rocker panels. You know, they've never been repainted. They got the original patina, but it has some rock, rock chips and stuff. But all of this stuff in here is as it was from the factory, just totally solid. There's no repair work that's ever been done, no putty or anything like that, which on these Dodge and Plymouth F bodies is really fairly rare to find. This car is all original paint, original interior. It even has the original exhaust still on it from 1978. It's got a resonator. I'm not sure if it'll show up on the video there, but we've got the part number and the Pentastar. The original factory muffler. Again, these factory mufflers had an indent in here for clearance on the brake cable. Replacement ones do not have that. And again, the muffler has a Pentastar and the part number on it. Indent in here, again on the factory muffler for the drive shaft clearance. Again, everything is nice and solid under here. It's not super pretty because of the rust proofing. This car was originally bought and sold, to the best of my knowledge, in West Virginia. And everything under here is just steel. Anything that you see that's kind of undesirable looking is probably just surface rust. There's no rot on here at all. Okay, rockers. These cars were notorious for rusting, up in the fenders, but they corrected that with the inner fender liners, which this car has because it's a 78. Fenders are all solid. No repair, no paint work has ever been done. That's all metal. These cars typically would rust inside here on the inner frame rails, front frame rails I should say, on the inside. Let me throw some lights on here. Not sure if that helps to illustrate this or not, but those front frame rails do not have any patchwork or repair work done to them at all. There's no rust in there, leading back into the Crossmember. Alright. Again, it's an original exhaust system, original catalytic converter. Everything is as it would have been from the factory. This car does have new front brake hoses and new shocks that I put on it a few years ago just for safety and drivability reasons. And the originals, if you would care to have them, I saved them, I set them aside and put them in the trunk. So the original factory brake hoses and shocks, which are not really good for anything other than keepsakes, are in the trunk. All right, inside the fender on the driver's side here, again all solid. We do have some original tar and patina, if you will, on the rocker panels, but all this stuff is just totally solid. There's no patchwork. And if you've ever been around old cars or original cars, you can tell the difference between stuff that's been repaired, glossed over with putty, and body work. All right, this is all original paint. All right. I'm also going to do a driving video of the car, but this one's just from underneath. I don't think I got the right side rocker before. Again, you got your original factory drain holes here. There's some surface rust, but there's no putty in there at all. You know, you got all of your pinch welds that you can see, and they're intact. This is an amazingly solid car for one of these. Nope, it's not a 360. Nope, it's not a two-door. It's a regular family sedan, and everything on it is stock. Okay, it's just kind of a piece of history. It's more of a time capsule than a car that you would, you know, play or have fun with. It's just something to take to a cruise in or enjoy for what it is, for the originality of it. All right, this is the driver's side frame rail. Again, everything is just super solid on this car. In its original state, there's the inside. These are notorious for rusting up in here. And there's no rot in there at all. It's all just undercoating and patina, if you would call it that. All right, the Crossmember, again, all solid floors. There's no rust on any of this stuff here. All right, got the original springs. Still has the MoPar ISO clamp, rubber clamp stuff there. It's got the 7 1/4. This is an open rear end, no pause traction or shore grip or anything like that. It's just a 318 2 barrel. New shocks on the back as well. And again, the originals are in the trunk. Gas tank is all nice and solid, no rust, no rot. It's just all what I would call patina. Even though this spent its life in West Virginia and Pennsylvania, it obviously sat quite a bit, didn't acquire a lot of mileage before I got it. And that's kind of what we see here. You know, there's little scratches, or big scratches, I guess you want to say. And that's all part of the history of the car. When I acquired it, I chose not to do any paint work on it at all, just to preserve the history and originality of it. And it does have a vinyl top, which we'll see later on in another segment or another video. All the trim is there, the grille is there, and the bezels are there. It's not missing anything. It's all complete. It's got all 4 of the factory hubcaps, and it's got the moldings. It's hard to see here on the lift, but there is a dent in the driver's door, which I'll do a driving and another walk around video of this car later on. All right, thanks a lot. All right, here is the 78 Dodge Aspen. Just walk around the car and take a look at it. Again, it's pretty original. There's never been any paint work done. You can see here on the door there's a little scrape. It's been touched up at some point in its history, but it's never been there's never been any panels repainted. Vinyl top's all good. All the hubcaps are there. There's a little surface rust spot there. Again, adds to the car's character, in my opinion. There's a small little dent on the hood. Not sure if it'll show up on the video there. The really noticeable spot is on the driver's door right here. There's a dent there. And when you look at the car from 50 feet away, you hardly notice it, but when you come up on it, it's noticeable. The interior in this car is pretty immaculate. Seats are nice and clean. Carpets are clean. Dash pad's not cracked. I did replace the headliner when I bought the car about 10 years ago. Sun visors are nice and clean, not faded. Door panels. All the windows work, all the windows roll up and down. A lot of times on these old Malise era MoPars, this plastic chrome starts to delaminate, and it's all yellow and nasty from the sun. Again, there's no sun damage. This car must have been inside for a number of years before I got it. There's some scratches on the door frame from somebody wearing jewelry or rings or something. You can see all the doors look just like this one. We go down here and look at the bottom. Just totally solid, no rot at all, no rust, no repairs ever. Okay. 26,500 miles. I'm going to be doing a little driving tour here, so a few miles will accrue. We'll test all the functions, wipers, air conditioning, all that stuff. All right, let's look under the hood. And this one does not have the optional inside hood release. It's in the grille. All right, original master cylinder. This one still has the cast iron. 78, they started to transition over the aluminum one. Power brakes, power steering, air conditioning. Got the lean burn. Again, this is unmodified. All the stock components are here. All right, it's got a radiator, big radiator for the air conditioning with a shroud. The battery thermo guard still in place. Again, there's quite a bit of rust proofing all over this car. So on the inner fenders and stuff, you get a lot of that yellow coating. And that's possibly what has preserved it over the years. Just all that undercoating that somebody put on when the car was new. The grille is all intact. These grills are very difficult to find. You know, not just completely destroyed. All right, and if you're trying to find one at a swap meet or online, you're going to pay quite a bit of money for them if you get a nice one. All right, it's got the original chrome. It's not perfect, but it is the original factory chrome. The factory chrome on these cars from the 70s for MoPar was not like you would get on a show car today. All right, I'm going to throw a few things in here, and then let's go for our driving tour. Again, even the ashtrays and the cigarette lighter look brand new. Ashtrays in the back, nothing. Looks like it hadn't been smoked in, which is nice. Alright, glass on the mirror is pretty clean. It's not perfect, but it's very nice. You got all your vents. Ashtrays fairly clean. Radio and the controls are looking good. Alright, this particular car does not have the optional digital clock. Again, just very nice. Seatbelts are nice. You know, the covers are there. A lot of times these covers go missing, cracked, gone. The covers are there. Okay. Dash pads, you know, not cracked, which is somewhat amazing for these cars. All right, let's go for a drive. Alright, so as we're driving, I'm going to fire up the max AC. When I got this car, I put in a brand new evaporator core. You got to rip the dash all apart, take all that out. and it's been charged up, vacuumed and charged up with R12. And we got a little thermometer there as we drive. We'll take a look at that. Turn signals, left, right, 4 ways. Okay, let's see here. Some wipers. This has the 2-speed wipers. There's low, and there's high. And we got some squirters. There we go. That works. Maybe I'll stop a bit later on and go around and show the lights, but the lights should all be good. Radio. Got the AM radio. This particular car has a front and rear speaker, so there's one factory speaker in the package tray. Tuner works. Getting some stations. That's all good to go. Alright, let's go for a little drive here. For as old as the car is and the originality of it, it's amazingly tight. You can just feel it when you start it up. The rubber is not all destroyed in the suspension I should say. It's what I would call an honest car. You know, somebody, including myself, kind of took care of it, and it wasn't in the sun. It sat for quite a long time. Apparently not gathering a lot of miles. Power steering, you know, works fine. Power brakes, car stops real good. Probably if you really panic stop this car, it'll probably lock up some of the wheels. The brakes are real good. Has new shocks all the way around, and the original shocks I kept threw in a box in the trunk. It's also got new front brake hoses. Again, just some safety and drivability items that I chose to upgrade and repair as I took ownership of the car. I've had this car for about 10 years, and I think I've maybe put 2,000 miles on it in 10 years. I believe it had 24,000 when I got it. This has the lockup converter. So if you're light throttling it in D, it'll go in the lockup as a fuel saving measure. It's not a hot rod. It's not the fastest small block Chrysler engine out there, but it's just a nice, honest car. Cruises well. Even with the air on in the middle of the summer, it doesn't overheat. I mean, it might run a little hot if you're running the air and you're stopped in traffic idling, but yeah, it runs pretty good here. All right, this particular road's got a lot of turns and curves. So it's not going to handle like a modern car, but it does have a factory, it's factory front disc brakes, has a factory front sway bar. Again, all those things are intact. It does have all the original rubber bushings and whatnot. It's got 4 relatively new tires. I'm not sure the date code on them. They're Goodrich radial TAs that I put on there. I put the letters on the inside, so it has black balls on the outside. I think typically this car would have had the white stripe, but I just put the black walls on it. These tires handle pretty good. They're not super performance tires. They're not the cheapest radials that you would get for replacements either. Alright, it's got this stock 14-inch wheels, stock 14-inch hubcaps. Now for what it is, the car drives and handles pretty good, I would say. Because this car has the factory muffler and resonator, it's extremely quiet. It's a V8, but it's not loud at all. I'll find a little spot here and show you the sound. I don't know how well the sound will show up on this camera, but yeah, we'll see. Alright, so we've been taking it up a hill here around the curves. You can see it's just running right in the middle of the temperature gauge with the air on. Alright, we'll go over here and check out a few more things. Temperature on the AC, and it looks like it's 58 degrees coming out of the vents on the AC there. Horn. This car only has a single horn. It doesn't have the double horn, but it works. Lights, they should all be good. I don't think there's any problems with the lights. On the F bodies on 78, they have a separate yellow indicator for the flashers there. And we'll throw it in reverse and check the reverse lights out. Put the flashers on as well. Alright, reverse lights are on. They both work. Flashers are flashing. Not sure if that's going to show up real well in the sun. Again, this thing is super quiet with the resonator, the factory resonator. You can hardly hear it running at idle at all. There we go. You can see the V2 compressor running. This one doesn't cycle. It's a factory style. It just runs all the time. When your air's on, it's pumping. So it's not always super efficient in terms of fuel and gas, but it works. Let's check the high beams. a little hard to see in the daytime on that high beam indicator. Anyway, they're both on. The lean burn, I've never had any trouble with the lean burn. It's not like I've driven it 60,000 miles, but I've never had any trouble with the lean burn or with the spark computer or the ballast resistor in any way. Alright, air conditioning, sitting here idling. We're down to 40 now. Alright, so this R12 system works really well. Alright, that's about it. This car doesn't have a ton of special features. It's just, like I said, a nice honest car. Air conditioning works great. It's good for taking to a cruise or a show. Alright, gauges work. You know, if I turn the fan on and put the lights on, you can see the alternator gauge works. If I rev the car up, we'll go on to charging. Temperature gauge works. It's been sitting here idling for, I don't know, 5-6 minutes. You can see the temperature's not coming up. It's a fairly warm day. It's not 90 or 100 yet today, but just to illustrate that the systems in the car does what you expect it to do.